one of our newest artists, and he has these amazing masks made of feather, and he is going to definitely tell you a little more about himself and about the process.
Yes. If you have enough time. No. I met a Cherokee medicine woman here in Idaho when I moved in '99. And over the next 25 years or so, I had an opportunity to work with her and for her and do a lot of work on the side for her, going to powwows and just being with her. But along the way, she taught me a lot of what we're doing here. This form is essentially a Plains Indian exercise. They're called spirit masks. You're capturing the spirit of an event, of a god or a goddess, of an animal, almost anything you can imagine, but they're spirit masks. And hopefully you do capture some of the spirit as you're working with it. This particular one is one of the harpies. It's called Selena. I do have a slide presentation that will go approximately 30 minutes, and I don't expect almost anybody to stay and watch it. But near the end of it, there are 6 or 7 slides that actually show the progress of the mask being made. So it is kind of interesting. But the first part is basically my background, where I came from. That's me in the middle.
Should I turn on? Yeah.
I guess you can, sure. It's got to be real quiet, though. I'm really not very good in public, and I was way more interested in the animals that are back in that caged-off area by Noah's Ark. And the Noah's Ark, for me, is really poignant because I ended up actually working for a company in the Midwest called Noah's Ark Pet Supply. And I worked with them for a decade almost. Ended up being a retail manager for the stores, worked in the wholesale department. Started out with tropical fish, bought a parakeet from them, then I bought an African gray from them, and the parakeet didn't last more than about 16 or 17 years. The gray, on the other hand, lasted until I moved out here, easily 43 or 44 years. I also had 2 Amazon parrots along the way. That's one of them.
Duncan.
That's Duncan, who I just lost 3 weeks ago. Yeah, it's heartbreaking, especially when you spend 40 some years with an animal. And he died just before my birthday, too. He sang happy birthday.
Yeah, he would always sing happy.
But I have a recording. I'd love to be able to demonstrate the actual mask making process, but I can't. I walked around with some feathers a week or so ago, and they just go everywhere. So I can show you some of the feathers, but in the mask making, it all starts with this is vegetable tanned cowhide. And by getting it wet and applying it to a form, you start out with the beginnings of the mask. This is epoxy resin, which it took 3 or 4 weeks to make. The original form that we used was a form that my teacher had acquired. Casey Wallace, her name. She was a Cherokee medicine woman. Amazing woman. She had 2 masks in the Smithsonian Museum for Native Americans. The mask form that we used, she had formed for her to make a mask for Audrey Hepburn, and that was her foundation for the 2,000 and some masks that she made over her life. I am nowhere near that. I'm in my tens, but it's fun all the same. For me, Noah's Ark is an extension of nature, and that's my backyard in the Chicago area. And then the next picture, you'll see the front yard in the first house here in Idaho when we moved out here in '99. By this time, I worked for the post office and ended up in Oklahoma for training for electronics and networks. I spent 52 weeks in Oklahoma over my 27 years of service. And during that time, weekends were free. So my whole youth really is, my dad was really into cowboys and Indians. He was a Western guy. And I always sided with the Native American stuff. And the older I got, I started getting into religions and cultures. And of all of the cultures, for me, I'm more comfortable with the Native American culture than almost any other culture. There's waste nothing. My love for birds continued on. I ended up volunteering at the Peregrine Fund for a decade. And that's the golden eagle that resided there for at least 7 or 8 of the years I was up there. Unfortunately, he was in his 30s. West Nile disease about 5 years ago was big, killed off most of the Crow culture in the valley here, Treasure Valley, and it took Jack as well, mosquito bites. That's my teacher, Casey Wall, and she died at 23. Amazing lady. She introduced me to cats, and cats being the opposite of birds, prey animals. And in the animal world, they say you don't really understand your animal until you know their enemies. And she introduced me to cats. Her cats, she was really into Manx, which is the bobtail, and they were polydactyl cats also. These cats all had 24 toes, and 6 on each foot. So it was pretty crazy. They'd paddle around the house and stuff. No, they were very active and very, very capable. That's Storm on the right and Lilith. After that, one of my trips down to Oklahoma, I ended up going on a weekend to a place called Tiger Safari. And we did a bunch of work down there as volunteers. We just went down, built containers. He had discards from the Oklahoma area where people had taken these animals on as pets and they outgrew them. Siberian tiger, full size. I had an opportunity to sit this close to it, for a half hour, 45 minutes one morning. The park had opened up, but there was nobody there. I really learned a lot about cats that day. And just breathing the same breath as that animal was just crazy. Casey made this mask for me.
What are the white feathers?
That's actually silver fox. Oh, this?
No, the fuzz.
Yeah, that's silver fox. And the antlers. This, however, is a chicken. Yeah, there are remarkable varieties of birds. And the one thing about, that's my first piece. The remarkable thing about natural colors, birds especially, is you can put almost anything which you would think would be competing colors next to each other and they will get along. It's striking the differences there are in feathers themselves. The dotted ones? Yeah. That's a guinea hen. Those are my first 5 masks. I had to try to depict lightning on this one. And so it's a spiral. Each one of the spirals is fully feathered on both up and bottom side. This one's Reluctant Warrior. I was working at the post office, as I said, and we had a 30-year-old come in who wanted to make his name and broke every rule that he felt like it, just to teach us old guys something. And I ended up filing EEOs and took him to court, ended up keeping my job, and he lost his. But in the meantime, it nearly put me in the hospital for the stress that he put me under. I ended up calling the hotline and complained about terrorism in the workplace. And I got a visitation from some postal police because this was right at the time of all of the terror attacks. I didn't think about it. That mask belongs to this person here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I love it.
That's Stormy Monday.
Stormy Monday?
Yeah.
That's what that picture.
You kind of, simple mask. When I first started, the form was made from rigid wrap, the casting material. We would cast over the form, whatever it was, and then all of the forms there were lined with silk in order to soften up the feel on the face, because in essence these are made to be worn. Actually, I'm not sure where you'd wear them, although I did wear 2 of the masks at a hippie festival, one in Oregon and one in California, and with interesting results. But I won't share that. And right about the same time as I was learning how to do this, we started playing in a kirtan band. We were singing, chanting. But our group was singing welcoming songs from all cultures, not just Hare Krishnas and we tried to be very welcoming to everybody. And then after the songs we sang, it was probably an hour's worth of singing, we'd sit down and have a potluck. I also participated in the ecstatic dance group. Actually ran it for 5 years with a partner, programming music, had Trey McIntyre's studio for three years, I think, that we helped with. And some of these, Leo, you might have seen these. I made the masks so we could wear them at the dances. You'll notice 3 of them don't have eye holes cut. Some of the dances were in the nighttime, so it was relatively dark. And a lot of what we were doing was to try to get releases from muscle memory, basically, to get out of your head. instead of staying there. But the masks are eyeless so that you could ignore your surroundings, essentially.
Did that go well with the dancers and the environment and their limitations?
We had a group of about 40 or 50 people that participated. Most nights we had 25 to 30, and we're very protective.
Yeah.
And we would take care of each other. So yes, it did. No, you know, catching people and guiding, and yeah, it was all very interesting. But the rigid wrap turned into leather. And I like the leather better because it's way softer, more gentle. Attaching stuff like that becomes very difficult. You'll see the mask up on the pedestal over there with the bright red. I've become very creative at attaching. There's ways.
You just glue the quill on and keep going?
Most of the feathers are glued on, yes?
Okay. Yeah, you get it flat.
Yep. But you have to be pretty precise.
Sure, yeah.
I also made that's about this big, and they're prayer fans. I'm not sure why I included that, but it's some of my heart. I also make mobiles, and I had a coworker come to me, and she had dreamed of making a mobile, and she had molded for a couple of months, and we had talked about it a couple times, and finally she said, "Do you think you could do it?" And I ended up, at the time I was still volunteering at the Peregrine Fund and learning a lot about being a falconer. And one of the things falconers do is to repair feathers that break in flights. And in order to do that, they take two feathers roughly equal size, and if there's a broken feather, they leave the original shaft intact and take a new quill cut to size and insert it in it, and then glue it so that the bird is flying at maximum capacity. And I took that and turned it into a propeller, and then the fun begins.
You fix a wounded bird by gluing it.
Not wounded. Not wounded. No, they're not wounded. But feathers break, you know, they do snap. And so if you snap off a feather, it really reduces its ability. And falconry is really only, falcons and birds of prey are generally only 20 to 25% successful. So you have to work hard at this. And to get out and fly your bird 3 or 4 times in a day, which is all you get because you work a job, you know. So you're out for a weekend and you fly your bird and you get a feather broken off. You go back, you repair it so that next time he's at 100% again. So you have to find a balance point this way, and then a balance point this way, and then drill a hole big enough to put fishing line through it, and that's how I did these. The mobiles, I used wood from the Oregon coast, so it's all natural. And that is the first rattle. The one I made for the same lady is I made that mobile. That's a bowl gourd, about that big. And the top is hinged. All of this ribbing, that's natural. You take the inside of the gourds, the membrane that holds the seeds in place. Those are all the ribs, the veins, essentially, for the gourd. Yep. So that's a rigid wrap. Cast of a face form. And that's one of the first 5. The fluke of a whale.
Really?
Ram's horns? Or is it ostrich? I mean, not ostrich, a bird. Birds. Yeah. And so it goes.
Yeah. That's okay. So that's how you started camping.
Again, lined in silk. And then, like a mandala, you start on the outside and then one feather over the next. No patches. Nothing simple. That's probably 3 days of work. I would put that easily at 800 to 900, maybe 1,000 feathers. And that's the finished mask. That's the mask I danced with at Beloved Festival. And I created a scene with one guy. I let a woman dance with it in the evening and then took the mask back and was dancing with it in the afternoon, and he came running up and threw his arms around me, saw my mustache and beard, and about fell on the ground. Needless to say, he was shocked, but
Yeah.
but it's a simple process of laying one feather over another one,
Okay.
working towards the middle. This is this mask.
And that's the type of glue you use. That's not.
It-
What is it? Glue?
White glue.
Just white. Just good old white glue.
Aileen's tacky glue.
What's the thing of feathers? He spends hours and hours and hours putting feathers. But I think those are cool.
Don't,
Yeah, those are.
honey.
From Duncan, aren't they?
Yeah.
Those are from
Don't
Duncan.
tip it so much.
Oh.
They're from Duncan, those two?
Yeah. These are from Doctor, the African grape.
I know, but he won't, yeah, that's probably $100 of cutting.
Yeah. Have you seen a pheasant? You know how big it is? It took me, the other night, it took me 7 hours to trim the feathers off, to clean them, and to cut them to size. Oddly enough, they, well,
You kill the pheasant and you take the feathers and find them.
a hunter's kill, I would soak in borax, in dry borax, for probably anywhere up to 4 months. They just sit in. And then once I cut them, I end up going back and washing them all individually. Then you have to re-preen in order to put the oils back in it. So it's a long process. And for the practical, okay, this is a typical pheasant.
Isn't that beautiful?
Mid body rump area. That's how much I use, and the rest gets cut and thrown.
That's like on the side, it's not one of their long feathers though.
No. Yeah. And so, what?
The rattle. She was talking about the rattle.
Oh, I almost brought another one today, but yeah. Well, that's pretty much all. Yeah, and all I'm doing there is experimenting with different stuff. You know, once it's done, with the rigid wrap, I could pretty much stick it anywhere and work out the attachment because the rigid wrap is rigid. The leather, I have to plan everything in advance now.
So what are the feathers on top with the dots on them?
Those are peacock pheasants.
Peacock pheasant. Peacock.
They are an Indonesian bird. There's a group of 6 or 7, maybe more varieties of these peacock pheasant, and they are, depending on how much color are in them, varying. This I don't think I can get feathers for this anymore. I was lucky enough to find them domestically raised, and they were super expensive when I got them. But that was a decade ago, and things have changed a lot. So that's kind of the story.